And we're live. Hey guys, it's Sunday.
It's a charm.
Yeah, right. Uh, so,
Yeah. Wow. We just went for a nice walk
yeah,
today. It's a little cooler out, but wow, it's so gorgeous out here.
It is.
I mean, crisp fall air and beautiful, beautiful mountain backdrops and the sky and the clouds. And then we saw that whole mountain range that we literally, I don't remember ever seeing it. I saw
Every time we go out, there's always something new. There's always something that's different that captures.
there really is.
So, what are we talking about this
Well,
Sunday?
something kind of big happened, and a lot of people in the trans community are like,
Freaking out!
to say the least.
Yeah.
They're scared spitless.
You know, my view on this is sex is biologically determined. I've never felt as a man. I'm just me, and just because I present that way or this way, I know biologically who I am, and I have no problem with it. So if they want to say, they want to put an X, like they did in the Denmark, somebody's the first person to have their passport with an X for transgender, or genderqueer, or whatever else, and that's fine with me. I mean, I have no problem with that.
I think what happened was that, there was such a strong push towards trans identity rights and, the whole thing, trans women are women, trans men are men, and,
Yes.
this insistence that biology didn't matter and that the body did not dictate anything. And it was just all, whatever's between the ears, it's not between what's between the legs.
It's the only psychological or mental illness that the patient gets to determine their treatment and outcome.
And we've been down that road before.
Yeah.
We're not here to talk about all that, the realities of trans identity and all that, but it's just we're like trying to kind of get through the whole concept of what it is,
why it's happened.
That it's why is this happening?
I was quoted, and I said it a while back, let them hang themselves, because I kept pushing and then using children as bait to lure people into accepting this. And, it's become so overwhelming that cis people, I hate that, are like, enough.
I mean, I am not a fan of Mr.
No,
Trump.
neither am I. I don't like politics, period.
I don't like what he stands for, what he's done. And he does anything to stir up a wasp's nest. He does anything to create civil unrest and to create division.
Right.
And here it is around the time that people are going to be voting.
But I don't give him that much power. I don't think he's that smart. I think there's puppets, other people behind the scenes pulling this. He's just a puppet like every other president. The man doesn't have that much.
No, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the personality of who he is, and it's beyond being the president.
Oh, yeah. It's just
the guy's always been an instigator and, really, not a good person.
No, but, I've always known that the pendulum, everything in life, you push and get some pushbacks. And, people shouldn't really get upset. I mean, it's like, look, if they want to identify us as Generation X or Gender X or whatever it is, then by all means. I mean, it's like, we're obviously different types of people. From the time we were younger, we presented differently. We weren't like the typical boys or typical girls, and we were talking about it. What is that? Oh, stickers.
Stickers from the hike.
Yeah.
Or from the walk.
Wow.
Oh my.
You're full of them.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, from the time I was little, my mother would constantly, try to feminize me by making all these little special dresses and, always breaking my spirit for being who I am. And who I am is it's not a gender. I mean, it's like, I'm just me, and society wants to put everybody in a clean little box. You're this or you're that. And some of us don't fit in those neat little boxes, that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
So, for a community that's so small to try to dictate, what they want to be seen as or demand, because it's a demanding type of thing,
Yeah.
And then not caring about the original real gender and their safety and their concerns. That's always been my beef. It's always been my.
And I mean, I know, but we'll get to that eventually. But what's happened with the kids and stuff, that is really, really sad. Here you have Jazz Jennings making the news again after having gone through surgery that, I mean, honestly, I don't know how anybody responsible medically can do these things to children, because what it ends up being is something that will be a lifelong burden
And battle
for Jazz.
and their body,
It will. It will. It's not like they did this to kids before. I mean, this is something that's new. They're like, oh, so
guinea pigs.
now we've got kids that we can transition.
And play with, and experiment with. There's no long-term studies of anyone doing this, messing with their endocrine system or development, because it's not just growing facial hair, okay?
Which is easy to do with testosterone.
Right. It's like, or like stopping the facial hair from developing if you're a boy and you're blocking the puberty. We're looking at developmental things as in neurological development, cognition development.
Yeah.
They're not developing like the rest of their peers in their age group because they're being stunted. And this is going to cause long-term effects.
Yeah.
Where, it's still like up in the air because there's no long-term study. They're pretty much a pioneer, a guinea pig.
Yeah, they're just being used. But the crazy thing is that we already know what happens to people that take, hormones for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the doctors don't recommend it.
It's a side effects
It's
alone.
It's a synthetic drug.
Yeah.
So, but the worst part about it is that these children are put, given these puberty blocking drugs that God only knows what they're doing to their bodies. I mean, it's bad enough to go under hormone replacement therapy in the Middle Ages and stuff like that of your life, but going into it before your body has even developed, that's like another planet.
Totally.
Entirely. And honestly, we don't know the outcome. We don't know. All we do know is that it can't be good.
Yeah.
It can't be good, because what ends up happening is these children are stunted for life.
Yeah. Totally stunted. And not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. I mean, because they're not developing, the brains are not developing the way that they're meant to develop. When you go through puberty, there's a spike of different things that happen in your body. And if you're suppressing that, you're creating major problems in the long haul. Now, we know that cross-sex hormones, and we've seen what it does, HRT for biofemales when they're going through menopause. They've had to pull a lot of them out of the hormonal treatment because of cancer and a slew of health issues, from stroke, heart attacks, thrombosis, ischemic attacks. I mean, we've seen a lot of people in the trans community that have been complaining and have actually had heart attacks and have had conditions because of hormone use. So imagine a younger person at a younger age blocking and then going directly into cross-sex hormones. What kind of life are they going to have? They get osteoporosis.
Yeah.
They get all sorts of demineralization. It just, the list is a mile long, and there are no long-term studies, so doctors can't guarantee anything, and they're still doing these things.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad. So in my opinion, what's happening, it's going to really, because right now it's a free-for-all. I think we're the only country that has no gatekeeper, right? It's just anybody in there. You say you're this, then you're this. And it's like a circus. Everybody and their mother are joining in the caravan. And what this is going to do is going to put a little stop to these things. And, there's going to be a definition of what sex actually is. There are markers, there are SRY genes, there are genes that determine, and chromosomes, and obviously genitals. So, you want to express however you want. That's your prerogative. I mean, no matter what my mother tried doing, she couldn't get me to act the way that she wanted me
But
to
I'm
act.
going to play the devil's advocate here because, there are going to be trans activists that are going to say no to that because they're going to say, oh, they found out that, it's not just about sex chromosomes. It's not just about genitalia, that there are other factors. And, given the fact that the study of chromosomes and DNA, all that stuff is like brand new.
It's
like
brand new.
in its infancy.
However, there are markers and there are things. There's over 600 genes that are
65.
Or 65, whatever. 65 genes that are determined of.
That we know of.
Yeah, and there might be a lot more. So, black is black and white is white. Yeah, they're shades of gray. They're intersex people, but these are intersex people. But people with chromosomes and DNAs and there's a far out cry and a far out push in these advocates. The studies are coming more in. Look at Sucre. We'll talk about that on the show. Has been vindicated. Okay, it's just the trans community has created this bad science, lies, anything to push their agenda. And like I said, express away, feel how you want to feel, do whatever. But when you're infringing on other people's rights and when you are mutilating your bodies, you've got two friends right now that underwent surgery, and they're not doing so hot. One we haven't even heard back from.
One said I have to go in for a second
surgery. They just got out of the hospital.
I'm scared. And,
Yeah.
and we haven't heard anything else from them.
And the other one's in a lot of pain. And
The other one, they had a comment on their Facebook page where they mentioned the fact that they had always wanted to have a beaver and they were fond of kitty cats.
Yeah.
That is just one of the most disrespectful things that you could do, is to make the female genital into some
But that's what it is.
kind of joke.
It's like
a beaver. I've always
a
wanted
beaver.
a kitty.
What's that, like the
It's
Dr.
terrible.
Bauer's Club girls? It's like some sort of like, hey, middle-age crisis, I'm going to buy
I'm
myself
not going to get her Corvette.
instead I'm going to get some tits and remove my, and it's like, there is more to sex, to a gender, than going to get a procedure, cosmetic procedure. That doesn't make you that sex, no matter how much you want it. And there are people in life that want so many things that they'll never be able to have. And a lot of them is like, someone will be able to have their eyesight back, but they're blind and they'll never be able to see. Some of them have some deathly disease that they'll never be able to get rid of. So it's one of those things that I believe that this is going to be looked upon as the most barbaric thing that ever happened in human history, what they're doing to you.
Well, I was talking to you on the way back to the house from our walk, and we were talking about how I see you, and there's no way that you could ever do anything to erase your masculine essence.
That's who I am.
It's who you are.
Right.
It doesn't matter what people would say. It's like, I'm always going to be your mommy. You're always going to be my papi. So it's a thing where it goes beyond sex. It's just who you are to me.
Yeah.
Your essence is what it is. And mine is what it is.
Exactly.
So there is no law or government or any ruling that could ever change our essence.
Yeah.
And our
Okay,
essence is what it is. So if people see a more masculine essence or a more feminine essence, then that's all what it is, you know.
And to force the world, and that's what the trans community is doing, forcing the world to see. I mean, some of these trans women, dear Lord, I'm sorry, but no, you know. And so they want to force people to see them. They want to force their way into athletic sports.
I mean, some of them actually tell me, what I've heard is that they're like, oh, my mother would never accept me as a woman unless I undergo sexual reassignment surgery.
And they look,
and once I do,
and they look like a truck driver.
They'll think of me as that.
Yeah, and there's nothing
and
really.
It's typically that older generation.
Of course.
And then, you know, the younger generation, you know, for instance, Jazz, they asked Jazz, what is it that you like appreciate now about being a woman, or what
is it that you're looking forward to? Wearing leggings.
Wearing leggings.
So becoming a woman, it has all to do with
smooth crotch.
Yeah, and wearing certain articles of clothing. I mean, it's like, I understand this whole concept, this whole thing. A lot of us have gone through trauma, whether it's sexual abuse, whether we're traumatized for whatever reason. A lot of us have neurological impairments.
Molly Addison?
Hey, y'all, she says. Hello, Molly.
Hey,
Molly. We all have our essence, and we all have, you know, the way that we present and we feel. And I lost my train of thought before I was like thinking about something. I was going to say something. But it doesn't mean that everyone has to see that. Okay, everybody doesn't have to. I mean, this trans advocates want to force it down people's throats.
And that's where, I mean, what I've been understanding and learning is that if you go too far to the extreme, to the left or to the right, however you see it, you're in the wrong.
Right.
The best path is in the middle.
The middle way.
And that is where, on the trans side of things, you're not shoving your ideology down people's throats, where
demanding.
You're just living your life, and you're presenting, and you're expressing, and you're just being you.
And you're respecting.
And you're respecting.
Because that's the number key, because that's one thing with trans community, they don't respect.
And you're not taking what doesn't belong to you.
You know, it's like quietly live your life, you know, and I've said it, you know, the older trans generation were quiet, they blended in. They didn't make you walk around with the flag, waving pink and and try to like push it down people's throats and I'm a woman with a penis and all this stuff. Yeah, and that's what happens when you push and you push and you push, you're gonna get pushed back. And people are gonna get tired of it. You know, and the pendulum goes one way, but then eventually goes the other way as well.
And you know, this is definitely something that trans people should be concerned about, because you know, we just had a Supreme Court nomination where it's decidedly going to swing the court in a more conservative manner, and they can easily take a case and judge on it and make it the law of the land, and then eventually, you know,
everyone will be stripped of everything they thought they had. You know, because they couldn't be quiet and they had to continue to push and they had to rally for kids. And when you start messing with children,
they had
to piss people off.
They had to go in this children's direction.
Yeah, I mean, you got to really piss people off.
And that was wrong. You know, that was wrong. And what was also wrong was in allowing every Tom, Dick, and Harry to jump into the trans, you know, identity.
Because before it was very selective. You know, you had to like live as your chosen or the gender that you want to express as for a couple of years. And you had to go to therapy. And then slowly, now it's like gates are open. Come one, come all.
Yep. And it's like, you know, children can just identify as Jimmy one day.
Do we take questions? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, we take questions for sure.
Go right ahead.
We love interaction. You know, and now, like at school, Jimmy could present as Jenny one day, and then Jenny, you know, Jimmy could present as Jimmy the next day, and it's perfectly okay. And it's not perfectly okay. It's not right what the Obama administration did in affirming gender in these schools and these controlled places where, you know, privacy matters needed to be respected, and the dressing rooms and the sports teams and the locker rooms and the overnight trips and all that. You
And,
know?
and then we have, what is it, the latest drag queen story time in schools and libraries where they're just pushing this on people's,
Indoctrinating
and
young
pushing this on
children.
people's faces. You know, you're pissing off everybody. People don't want their kids to it's like they don't want that.
There are people that do not believe in this.
Yeah. And we have to respect that.
Yeah.
You know, you can live your life as you want, but don't flaunt it. You know, don't sit there and try to shove it down people's throats because you're going to get what's going to take place.
I mean, what happened last week when Rachel McKinnon won the race, you know, what was that?
Molly says, love your content. I can barely see. You two are so interesting. Thank you, Molly.
Thanks. Yeah, Rachel McKinnon won, you know, and this is a person who took a picture next to two genetic females and towered over them by heaps. You know, this is a person who has a genetically male-born body who is competing against genetic women.
And who has testosterone flowing through their veins.
Advocates for not blocking testosterone, you know, and, you know, it's just wrong, you know, shoving this down society's throat, you know, it's just wrong.
So,
what are your thoughts on Kavanaugh? We're not political people.
We're not very political.
With regards to the Supreme Court
Justice,
I didn't watch any of those hearings. We're not really C-SPAN people or anything like that.
To me, both wings belong to the same bird, whether it's a Democratic Party or a Republican Party. They're both pushing the same agenda. They all have, I mean, presidents are just puppets, and the elite is running the show. And all this has taken place has been orchestrated. It's been totally orchestrated. We're just, you know, we're like little chess pawns that they play around with.
Well, you know, the end game, if it's something that is an issue that's dear to you, your party is going to align with your, you know, methods and your belief system, and you're going to vote for that, you know. But don't think that that party is looking to protect you. It's looking to make ways in which it can take more of your rights away. So if you vote on the left side and you're on the blue side, then, you know, you're going to have your rights taken away in a different way. If you're voting on the right side and the Republican side, then you're going to have your rights taken away another way. But the end game is the same.
It's the same.
The end game is to take away our rights.
And lobbyists are the ones controlling everything, and this country is a corporation. It's not even a real country. I mean, it's just like, it depends on how deep the rabbit hole you want to go, you know. And, you know, we're just being played, and we're being pitted against one another. What they want us to do is uprise so they could create a massive civil war type of thing, so then they could just round everybody up and do whatever it is that they need to do. That's what, or that we kill each other, you know, because that's what they really want.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it wasn't too long ago when Obama was in charge where there were all these race riots going on.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know, something going on in, what was it, St. Louis or something? There was stuff going on and other places and stuff. And, you know, it's just this divide the crowd. Is the water fluoridated in New Mexico? If so, do you drink it or filter your water?
We mostly, we've been doing a lot of filtered water. I don't think New Mexico is as bad as other states.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a little town, and it's not going to be, the water supply isn't going to be as
population 10,000.
damaged as it is in a big city, like in Florida.
Yeah.
Remember when they had fluoride to the water?
Yeah.
You could smell it.
You could smell it. We had filtration there. But, I mean,
fluoride, obviously, since you know about the dangers of fluoride and what it does to calcify the pineal gland and how it, you know, it's a poison.
Well, it actually sedates people, and they do it on the reasoning of like getting people to just go along to get along. But besides fluoride, there's so many things in the water. From chlorine, I mean, even when you shower, people don't realize that lead and the chlorine and all the stuff that you're actually taking in, because you're in the shower. Usually people are in the shower 20 minutes or so, steaming hot water. You're letting so much chemicals into your skin, which is your biggest organ.
Because your pores are like wide open when it's hot. The water's hot and stuff.
So we definitely recommend some form of filter for your shower as well. But yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Yes, I knew you guys were cool.
But yeah, we're really into all, what people would consider a conspiracy. We're anti-vaccination. We don't believe our government is there to help us. It doesn't matter whether it's a Democratic Party or a Republican Party.
It's all to pit us
Yeah.
one against the other.
But they work for a master, and that master is not us. And people are in for a rude awakening of what's going to be taking place in the world. This is just the beginning of the beginning.
But trans identity is something that, no one can take away your identity. There is no government, there is no group, religious organization, or whatsoever that can take away
Your true essence.
your essence of who you are.
I don't need anybody to
I don't
validate
need-
me.
I don't need an F on my license in order to validate me, because I know the sex I was born as.
Yeah.
I understand that. I do have a grasp of that reality,
Yeah.
thank God,
Yeah.
as opposed to many of my friends
Yeah.
who would say otherwise.
Right.
Or not really friends, people I know.
Yeah.
But, it's like one guy that recently, a trans guy, said, so you mean to tell me that, if I wanted to color my hair a different color, I don't have the right to do so, or something like that?
It's like changing.
As if
Yeah.
identity, gender identity is simply a
Changing
matter
your
of
hair
changing
color.
your hair color. If that's all it is, this is a joke.
Yeah. Well,
but
see, a lot of people.
This is a joke.
It's just.
Because a lot of us do this. It's more of a spiritual journey than it is ever going to be anything to physically turn into.
Because you can't. You can't
sex.
Turn into anything. You can't change anything. Cosmetics, hormones. Hormones may create certain things, but you can't change your chromosomes. You can't change your DNA. You can't change your biology. If people would learn to love and accept themselves as they are, if society would learn to love and accept and respect people for how they want to present, then we wouldn't be having all these problems. We wouldn't be having these problems at all. Like Lena says, her essence is who her essence is. My essence is what my essence is. They could take my license, remove the M, they could put an X on it. They could do whatever they want. They want to put the F back on there, that's fine with me. I am who I am.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. I am who I am, and I don't care what and how people see me. It doesn't matter to me. I don't live my life based on the validity of others, the need for documentation. It doesn't matter to me. It's never mattered to me. I did this, and we spoke about this in other shows because of the shame of, that I lived with due to my mom, the way she treated me, even the way society. But as I matured, I'm like, I'm me. When you mature,
it is what it is.
You realize I don't care what other people think of me.
And in all honesty, we are just these physical bodies that go to the dust after 80 so years. And none of us are actually, just a male or just a female. We're eternal spirits, that actually have the essence of both, and it doesn't, it really doesn't matter, So they said something about,
what do you think
what
about
do you think
Zionism?
about, what do you think benefits at pawning us against
Can we move
each
this
other?
closer?
No.
No.
What benefits us against pawning us against each other? That's the first question.
What benefits us? Up to the heart. Oh, what do you think? Pawning us against each other.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, well, that's
Divide and
conquer. That's how they've ruled everything from the beginning of time. You get, a group of different people attacking each other when they realize, hello, we shouldn't be fighting one another. There's,
Meanwhile,
yeah, they're getting away with everything.
So they said, what do you think about
Zionism?
Well, when 98% of all patents in the world are owned by Zionists,
everything from your media to,
the Abrahamic religions of our modern day are kind of like the dominating forces, like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are all Abrahamic religions. So that comes from Zionism as well.
Right.
There's a lot to be said.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said, and I don't really want to get into the politics of that, and what we try to feel.
Yeah,
What do you think of Israel? You've been there, I haven't.
I've been to Israel.
Can't really speak about.
I mean,
I don't think. I mean, there's a school of thought that Israel really didn't exist or doesn't exist.
Well, it was a dusty outpost of a little town for many years until in 1949 when it became a nation.
Right.
And then a bunch of people who identified as being Jewish moved back. Russian Jews and European Jews and stuff like that. But the true Jew, they got pretty much wiped out.
Yeah.
There were 12 tribes, and there were only 2 remaining: Judah and was it Benjamin? I can't remember, but there was only 2 tribes left.
So how has this turned into the Zionist and Jewish thing when we're talking about trans identity?
I don't know. They asked the question.
What should we do about the Jewish? What happened to that?
They won't just wait. It'll come back.
Oh, okay. It just disappeared. Oh, there it is. What should we do about the Jewish problem then? We're not. I don't feel qualified to talk about that. And
we're talking about trans identity.
Yeah.
Fears that people are having.
Solution justified.
Oh gosh.
The
final solution was not justified. It's never a justification to advocate the murder of millions of people.
Of course not. No, we don't.
I know they're trolling.
Yeah, gas. Yeah. And then some person there that's I'm not even gonna bother reading that. But it's the society we have this day and age, everything to them is a joke. They, entitled, everything's self-entitlement.
What do you think of drag kids like Desmond? Is amazing.
I don't think kids should be, being used as pawns, because that's also pushing the drag agenda, or, it's just a form of, little kids should not be used for that kind of.
No, it's kind of like it's almost
exploiting.
Sexual abuse.
Yeah, it is a sexual abuse, and it's exploiting. In my opinion, I'm old-fashioned that way. Kids should be kids playing with toys, but should not be living in the adult world.
Trans are racist.
Here's a real question. What do you think? Okay, girl on the right.
Why do trans people fear Jews? Oh. I don't know. We're going into this Jewish thing. I don't understand why you guys are going there.
Yeah.
Do you think rapid onset gender dysphoria is a real thing?
Yes, it is a real thing, and we actually had a show about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, there was a good article that came out in Forthwith Mail about it.
Yeah. And it's become a fad. It's like a lot of these kids have diagnosis of Asperger or some form of autism, and they were normal kids, and from one minute to the next, all of a sudden, boom, they come up with this, trans identity. And
when you have entire groups of young people, like teens, actually getting together and having these they're all transitioning at the same time. You've got to ask yourself what is going on. You've got to ask yourself what's going on, because it's almost like a peer pressure thing.
Yeah, it is. I can barely see that.
It's okay. I can read it.
Okay.
So it says, nice walk. Nothing really.
Okay.
I tend to agree. 10 years ago, I only knew a couple trans people. Now I can think of at least 5 friends whose junior high age kids are coming out as trans.
It's a thing. It's a fact.
Typically they're girls.
Yeah, typically they're girls, because there's something going on, and I don't know if it's In vaccines, I don't know what they're doing. It's just very strange, and people should be very alarmed. And that's why I believe something needs to be done about it, because it's become an epidemic.
It's just
Okay.
the Jewish thing again.
Okay, my dad has gender.
Yes, all 5 are girls.
Yeah, FTM,
Yeah.
definitely.
That seems to be like the popular thing. It's like they almost get like this boost of popularity now, since in high schools, it's like the cool thing to be trans, you know. So they're actually really like, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Just so you guys know, if you're not putting serious comments, you're going to be put on timeout or eventually just removed, because we're not going to entertain
No.
people that aren't serious. So that's how it goes.
And then, I mean, we don't really
And I don't want to answer any
answer
questions.
Jewish
Questions. It's like,
I mean, it's like we don't feel qualified to answer
Yeah.
any of that.
Yeah.
So it's not like.
But yeah, I mean, I knew that eventually something like this was going to take place. And, as a member of the LGBT, we have to be thankful that we live in a country that still allows us to express. Because there are countries like Russia, just recently, it was Russia. Russia just was rounding. That one. No, that's the outside that one. Was rounding people off and putting them in some sort of detention center, and some of them were being killed.
Yeah.
So, we are still very fortunate as a country to still be able to express, without being shot, without being hurt somehow, some way. And, you can't take that for granted. You really can't. Because there are many countries in the world that, hurt people like us.
Yeah, I mean, it's like in Iran, if a male identifies as gay, he will get killed.
Yeah.
So their answer
Yeah.
is to transition them from having a genital that's male to a genital that looks female.
And it's almost like they do it as a form of punishment. You want this? Here, boom, because it's not done out of compassion, and it's not done out of anything. It's done out of either you die or we're going to sterilize you so you don't continue to spread your kind. Right. That's the mentality.
Right.
And so I feel very, very fortunate, that we do live in a world or in a country that allows us to express. When we go out in the street, people know who we are. Nobody makes fun of us. Nobody throws rocks at us. Nobody, takes a shot with a shotgun at us or anything like that. We just live.
And we're not the kind of people that are going to be like totally throwing it out there.
No.
And not going to be waving
a flag. Yeah.
It's like, Iran also forces gay men to undergo gender assignment. And I've heard some trans activists, such as Zinnia Jones, tout this as an example of tolerance and progressive gender thinking.
And it's not.
Because Iran pays for it.
Yeah, they're just doing this because it's like, okay, we don't want you. It's like conversion therapy.
Did you ever think of this? Those of you who are interested in having sexual reassignment surgery, and the people that have undergone it and use public, healthcare monies in order to accomplish it, have you ever thought that maybe your surgery disallowed a child from being able to get a new lung or
new heart.
Getting a new heart? Did you ever think that maybe what you wanted, what you didn't really need, affected the lives of many, many people? I mean, there are women who want to get their tubes tied,
and they can't.
Who are told that they can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yet we can transition someone's gender if their insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple of trans women who got awarded hundreds of thousands of dollars in a case in Wisconsin
Mhm.
because they fought against the healthcare insurance company that didn't want to cover their surgery.
That's crazy.
And now they get it.
Yeah.
They got it.
So she says, I thought most SRS occurs overseas by a surgeon who specializes in it, not as much.
Oh, and now the doors are wide open.
And they're
Mayo Clinic,
training, Dr. Bauer's training other doctors because they're seeing a lot of money that they're going to be getting, you know.
Johns
and-
Hopkins reopened
Opened
their
up.
program.
Yeah.
There's another hospital tied with a university that's going to be training more gender
It's
doctors.
become
I mean,
a massive
it's big
thing.
money.
Yeah, it's become
It's
a
big
massive
money.
thing, and they're opening more gender centers for
Children.
for children. I mean, it's scary, and people should very much get along because this is going to affect generation after generation. This is not just a small problem. This is going to turn out to be a massive problem. And you know, I know the trans community is all about waving their flags and all about their rights, but we live in a world with other people. And this, to me, is going to be the largest insult on humanity that has ever taken place. We're going to be talking about this 50 years from now, and people are going to be shaking their heads and they're going to be going, how did they ever allow this to happen?
Now, there was a little meme that I sent you this morning. I didn't put it on my wall or anything.
I shared it on my wall.
It said, when you realize you hurt family members, limited your dating pool and career options, limited your access to recreation and health activities, damaged your body and mind, and experience of sex, became a lifelong pharma junkie, brought phantom pain and scar tissue, brought hot flashes and weak bones, wasted thousands of dollars and years of youth, cut years in comfort from your old age, traded one set of expectations for another. When you realize euphoria is temporary, blood draws and bone scans never end, hormones and surgery are cosmetic, sex isn't a sign and it can't change. The doctors are just guessing. Informed consent, quote unquote, is a waiver of rights. Dissenters are censored and exiled. It's a homophobic and misogynistic cult. You could have lived freely without it. When you regret transition, will you be honest enough to admit it?
And that's the thing most people do not. They're not honest enough to admit it. And they don't realize all these things that take place, all the side effects, all the problems, and in the end, was it worth it?
Why do you think there are so many trans kids now?
Gosh, you know, I would like to say that the world that we're living in is so full of chemicals and, you know, estrogenic compounds.
Chemicals.
There's so many Asperger autistic kids. There's so many traumas that children are going through because parents are having kids. They're not really able to be good parents because they're worrying about putting food on the table. That it's just become this massive, it's like the world's turned upside down. And I don't know how many of you, I mean, I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. And I believe that there's a dark force working behind all this. You could feel it. You could sense it. You know, you could hear it in the voices of those pushing this, the desperateness of lies that are being used to push this agenda. So it's almost like a virus that has been let loose.
They say that, you know, once a child is put on the path to transition, it's very rare that they get off of it because once their puberty is halted and they then transition to obviously taking cross-sex hormones, and then eventually they get the surgeries and stuff. And this is like a one-way road that, you know, basically changes the child's perception. Their frontal cerebral cortex is not fully developed. So when you arrest puberty, they don't see hair growing on their face or they don't see breast development. immediately their brain connects to the fact that maybe they weren't the sex that they see when they take a shower. But more than that, they are basically kind of mind controlled into thinking
That's
this
just
is
like
their
a
only
push,
option.
right? And those kids that are not, they don't entertain, the parents don't allow them to entertain this, not even expression, okay? And they just make them live their life as the sex that they were born as. These kids, 80% of them, if not more, end up just becoming either lesbian or gay men, and they live their life happily ever after. Okay, and so that's why I truly believe that this has become almost like a conversion therapy. Oh, parents that don't want a homosexual boy or they don't want a lesbian for a daughter, and it's easier to explain that daughter was born in the wrong body, so it was going to give them cross-sex hormone and make them a guy, or vice versa. It's become the in thing. It's like the socially acceptable thing to do versus the shame of having a gay son or a lesbian daughter.
Yeah, and they think that, by doing this, that it's going to bring about peace
Yeah.
in everybody's life and that everything can be normal again.
And they tout around the 41% suicide rate. But what they don't tout around that is that 41%, most people that are committing suicide are those that have already transitioned, not the ones that haven't transitioned yet. The suicide are the ones that after transition, when they see what they've done to themselves, when they're not happy with the results, when there's nothing else left to do, then desperation really kicks in. Anxiety, depression, and thoughts of suicide.
And that's the thing, parents that have these kids who are questioning their gender think that they're being compassionate by allowing them to take these puberty blocking, arresting hormones and drugs. But what they're doing is just more damage.
And they don't realize that Lupron, the side effects of Lupron with its intentional use, which was given to women to control the endometriosis. The type of side effects, the type of side effects are horrific. And it does have side effects. So even if you stop giving that drug to that person, the child, they're going to have side effects. They're going to be ruined for life. And it's not like just, you stop and everything stops and goes back to normal. No, it doesn't. That's the lies that they're feeding parents. You can't trust the medical community. They just want to sell you a potion of some sort. They want to give you a procedure. It's all about money. Have no insurance and see how well you're going to do, how well they're going to, or if you don't have the money to pay, they're not going to give you these pills. They're not going to perform the surgery. All they want is your money.
And that goes across the board for, not just trans, but anything. You turn on television today, you're going to be inundated with commercials about big pharma selling some new drug, some new, Botox injection, some new form of treating this other illness. And, it's like, oh, and by the way, you could die. By the way, suicidal ideation is common. It's like, they don't mince their words. They have to tell the truth about what could happen to you.
My best advice to people is learn to accept who you are. Okay, learn to be happy with the God-given sex you were born with. You don't have to live your life like a typical male or a typical female. Express the way you feel more comfortable. Be you. But if being you is you have to take the identity of someone else, that's kind of shameful. Being you means that you have to take drugs for the rest of your life that are going to hinder your health. It means that you're going to have to, botch up your body to fit what society deems to be a female or what society deems to be a male. You got bigger fishes to fry and you've got bigger problems because everything does not revolve around gender. Gender plays that little bit of a role in a thing or sex, and most of it is reproduction. After that, there's a lot of women that put any man to shame, that are a great carpenter or great whatever roles that man could have. There are a lot of women could put men to shame, and vice versa. There's some men that are tremendous cooks. They're a tremendous interior decorator that could put any woman to shame. So we got to stop living life based on gender roles and what we think we should be like and how we should act like. You want to wear leggings, wear leggings, but you have to chop off your thing to wear leggings. I mean, it's like, why do people think that they're fooling somebody? It's like, be who you are. What are you trying to like? Do I pass? Who cares? Just be you. You don't need people's validation or approval, because when you're seeking validation or approval of someone, you're going to be miserable, because not everyone's going to validate you. Not everyone's going to see you how you want to be seen. So you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life.
And there's nothing you can do to your body that is going to make you arrive at a place of peace in your life. There's nothing, there's no surgical procedure that can be done. There's nothing that you could do to add to your body or take away from your body to bring you the peace that you need, because the peace that you need, it can't be found in a scalpel. It can't be found in a gender marker. It can't be found in a surgical procedure that breaks your face. It can't be found in any of that stuff. And that goes for if anyone is trans, dealing with gender issues, or if they're just dealing with aging. It goes across the board. Yeah. There's nothing that you can do to change that.
So unless you find peace.
Find peace.
Find peace within yourself, and just stop looking in the mirror so much. Stop wanting certain things. Look, we all age. Some of us age more graceful than others. You can't beat the hand of time. You can't. There's certain things in life that you just have to learn to surrender and just find peace. Because if not, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. And it's going to be like a dog chasing his tail. It never actually catches his tail. So,
and that's the thing. You don't want to find, your identity in who you can become. Find your identity in who you already are. An immutable reality that has been given to you for a reason. And identify, live, be, but don't do it to the point where you're taking away the rights of others or
hurting yourself,
forcing others to see something that they simply don't see. Because who are we to tell other people what to believe?
Have to see me as a certain way. That I have to have this F or this M on this particular document.
Personally, it would be easier. Like I used to travel on airlines and stuff. And when I traveled with someone, it would just be easier to give a person like me or like you an X.
An X. And then they go,
and then they go,
oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
All right.
Yeah. Instead of having to put you through a thing, wait a minute, which of these things doesn't belong here? It's like people, we are a different breed. We are who we are. And why do we have to, just because there's a male box and a female box, why do we feel that we have to fit in either one of those boxes? Just be you. Just be you and be free and be at peace. And don't hurt yourself and don't hurt others.
You'll never fit.
Yeah, never. No matter how much, how many people get all the surgeries in the world? They do SRS, they do facial feminization, and they still are struggling. They still can't achieve what they thought they would be able to achieve. And then they're still miserable. So isn't it easier to just say, hey,
and it sucks, okay? It sucks for people that are dealing with these things, of course. But you have to get to a place where you accept it, you embrace the reality, and then you just live.
Because what's the alternative? What's the alternative? You keep hating yourself day in and day out. Every cell in your body is receiving that hate. You know what? You're going to end up getting some sort of cancer, some sort of disease from all that self-hatred. And you're going to keep wanting to mutilate yourself more and more to try to find, that thing that you're trying to look in the mirror to try to find, and you're never going to find it. And as you're aging, you're putting yourself in more and more danger. So doesn't it make more sense to just have peace, to just surrender?
My friend actually I scrolled back on their page. This is their second surgery. They didn't plan on it, and I haven't heard anything from them. But I mean, they secretly wished that
They would die on the
they would die
operating
on the
table
operating table
so they
to
could ruin
the
a surgeon's reputation. Anybody that gave that person a go-ahead to get surgery needs to have their brain checked. And the same with the other friend whose every other comment on their Facebook page is negative and scary, kind of. Really psychotic type of thinking. And so here we have these individuals that are obviously have mental issues, are being given a green card to mutilate their bodies.
Yeah,
People
to do
that,
whatever they want to do.
And it's like, since when does a surgical hole compromise create a vagina? I mean, if a vagina was that simple, there's a lot more intricacy in a vagina. The same thing with a penis. Since when can you take a piece of an arm and then another piece of your leg and then it's like Frankenstein type of thing, and they don't work. It does not work. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we doing this to our children?
It really, I mean, it's like, it's not going to alleviate anything. I mean, these people that had these surgeries recently admitted that their therapist told them that it may not alleviate their dysphoria.
No, that it will not. Actually,
no, that it may not.
Yeah.
So why are they doing it? Why are they saying it's okay?
Because
it's not going to alleviate anything.
It's a business. They want to, it's pretty much like, here's a bullet, here's the gun, kill yourselves. It's pretty much what they're telling us. Destroy your lives, and it's really sad. So, I don't know if what's going to take place is going to be actually a good thing, because maybe people would think twice before doing this. Because if they can't then have their little F or their whatever, and they can't live, they're going to go, and do it. Now people are running like droves, because it's like, hey.
Well, what it will do is filter out those, that are genuinely dealing with the realities of what they have as their essence, and those that are just playing around and goofing off and just doing this for some sexual fetish or something.
Which we know there's a lot of that out there. A lot of it, and it's crazy. It's like, people have lived their lives, even before, let's say 50, 70 years ago, being gay was not okay. People had gay relationships, but it wasn't like, wave the gay flag around, be proud. People lived, one of the famous lines was, oh, this is my brother, or this is my sister. All of a sudden, people had these sisters that they were living with, they were actually lovers. And people didn't flaunt their things. They didn't walk in the streets hand in hand in front of kids, in front of everybody. People were modest, quiet, and they just lived their lives, which I think has some sort of beauty to it. Than the walking around, shining their rainbow flags and.
It's this one young trans person who says, hey, I just wanted to put myself out there. They have this really skanky looking picture of themselves, and they're totally sexualizing their body. And they're like, I just wanted to put myself out there for anybody who wants to photograph me. I'm not getting any younger. So if you want to capture my androgynous beauty, it's like, do you realize what kind of danger you're placing yourself in to be opening yourself up to just anybody contacting you and wanting to make a video with you or shooting stills of you? And I mean, there are a lot of haters.
Crazy people out there.
And lots of crazy people would love to get their hands on it.
That's why the list of TDOR doesn't get any smaller. It gets bigger and bigger every year, and it's pretty sad. Let's see. Look at the news.
So anyway, I guess we said our piece.
Yeah, we have. And almost an hour. But yeah, I'm not fearful of what's happening. I think it might be a good thing. It's a matter of fact. It might kind of slow down this crazy movement, that's taking place. And,
Not afraid of him.
And, I know a lot of people will disagree. So what did you guys think of ice, sodium, Hampton, and hydrogen?
I don't know.
We're talking about transgender issues. We don't know
Poseidon?
who's Poseidon.
I
Is that
feel
the
bad
god?
for parents and children in Cali now. If a child wants to transition, the state basically becomes their parent, and the real parents have no say.
See, and that pisses me off. That just pisses me off because it's the way of the state taking over, you know? So this whole thing is going to be a blessing. This whole thing is going to be a blessing, you know? And we can't think just about ourselves. We got to think of parents that are dealing with this, that their kids are literally being ripped away from them. You know, it's crazy stuff.
I don't know what this Jim Van is talking
I
about.
don't either.
What should I do if my daughter wants to identify as a squirrel? And she's 4.
Exactly. And that's, you know, kids will identify as superheroes, as a dog, as a cat, you know, whatever it is. Or what if your kid wants an iPhone and at 4 or 5 and they think they're going to die if they don't get an iPhone, you know?
Because that does happen.
It does happen, you know, or
12-year-old parents can't say wait. Like a fire overhead.
yeah. But yeah, this whole pendulum is, in my opinion, it's a good thing because when things get out of hand, something has to happen to kind of balance things out a little bit. Yeah. I don't know what these people like earlier.
Actually,
I'm a female. I was
this is
born
a
female.
female.
You know, I
I
transitioned.
was born male.
Yeah.
So honestly, we're a heterosexual couple. So
yeah.
if you want to bark up our tree,
Yeah.
you're welcome to. But you know, there's nothing. None of you have Instagram.
Yeah, we both have Instagram.
Yeah, we both do.
Okay.
Satan got you thinking you a woman? No,
No, wait, she doesn't think.
I don't.
We know
I'm
who we
just
are.
me.
Yeah, we know who we are. We're just quirky little couple, you know.
We don't have any preconceived ideas of the fact that we think that sex is actually changeable.
Yeah.
Because-
I know I'm a woman,
Honestly.
even though I have a beard and a very deep voice.
And I don't like saying the other, but I know my gender reality, you know,
Yeah.
my sex reality. Yes, the lake of fire is hot,
Yeah,
and it's hotter for people who judge.
of course.
But
yeah.
I don't believe in the lake of fire. Anyway, so, but you can believe in that, Tommy, if you want to. Religion is for weirdos.
Well, there is a God, and I'm very much a believer of God, and I'm very much a believer that karma takes place, and for every action there is a reaction, you know. And but we're humans, and we make mistakes, and we don't come with a manual. So as we evolve and grow, we start seeing things differently. Hence why we think the way we do.
Well, honestly, you know, I know I made mistakes.
Mhm.
I know you made mistakes.
Big time.
And we're not foolish enough to think that
Still those stickers.
little stickers still coming out. But you know, we also have a handle on reality, and we accept that, you know, things are what they are.
Tommy, I just finished saying that I believe in God.
We believe in God.
So I don't know what you're, you know.
We do believe in God.
Yeah, we do.
But you know, heaven and eternity and your spirit, Tommy, has no gender. It's a spirit, so it doesn't operate on this earthly realm.
And like we just finished saying, I know I'm a woman.
I already know what my sex determination was. It wasn't, you know, something that I, you know, didn't understand. I knew what it was.
We don't live in La La Land, so we know.
Which of the 143 genders are you? We're just who we are,
Yeah,
you know? I
there's-
mean, it is what it is, you know?
We're not the people you need to fight because we're anti the transition of children. We think that, you know, this whole sex reassignment thing is It's crazy. It doesn't solve a single thing. And like I finished saying, accept who you are, make peace with who you are, or else you're going to battle yourself for the rest of your
Deuteronomy
life.
22:5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
Do you know where that actually stems
Neither
from?
shall a man put on a woman's
Explain to them where that they were actually going into war.
They were going into war, Tommy, and they were dressing and trying to fool the enemy
Mm-hmm.
by wearing the clothes of the opposite gender, or actually wearing armor,
Yeah.
and stuff. And that was something that was totally misconstrued in the King James. And the reality is that, even the fact is that this had nothing to do with, wearing women's clothing
Exactly.
or men's clothing.
And yeah, we do believe in God, and we do read the Word of God. And depend if you even know anything about the Bible, which God are you following? Because the Bible has several gods that it talks about. And did you know that the God that most Christians are following is actually Satan, the Lord in the Bible? It's like
Brandon says I'm very triggered that you were born a girl. I can still grow a better beard than me.
yeah, that and tremendous chest hair. But I know my biological sex, and I'm a woman. Yeah, I have no problem with that, none whatsoever.
No one's a liar. We're truth seekers.
Yeah,
Truth seekers.
I mean, why are we lying? What's there to be lying about? So, I mean, do you realize that there are females out there because of PCOS that actually grow a full beard like this?
Tommy's just an angry douchebag, and you guys are great. Have a good night. Keep it up. Keep it 10 toes down.
Thank you, Brandon. Yeah, Tommy. So here you have somebody who actually went to Bible college and knows a lot about the Bible, knows a lot about different things regarding religion, and people are being duped beyond measure. And I mean, there's so much that we don't know. It just depends on how deep in that rabbit hole you want to go into.
Yeah, if you wanted to talk about these things, feel free.
Yeah.
You want to throw the word out there, and
cherry picking the Bible.
We can play the game as well. I mean, I went to Bible college, like I said. I worked in Christian ministry, was raised a Christian fundamental believer, so I know a lot about what, it is,
and I'm probably more of a follower of Christ than most Christians are.
Yeah, I mean, the pure principles of Jesus Christ. Leviticus 20:13.
I'm not a Jew, so Leviticus doesn't apply to us.
A man also lie with mankind. As he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination.
No abomination here.
Put to death.
I'm a woman.
This God that you're talking about, that's Yahweh.
Yeah.
And that Yahweh God is actually called Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth is a false God.
Yeah.
So this God who is a judger and is a murderer and is saying things like this on Leviticus, that's not the true God. That's not the true creator who put our spirits, our eternal spirits inside of us. You should do a little research and figure out who it is that you're talking about. And that scripture particularly was talking about animals. It wasn't talking about, somehow it got misconstrued, but if you go into Aramaic and read it the right way,
thou shalt not sleep with animals in the field.
Thou shalt not sleep with animals in the field. And this is, like I said, this is that God talking, not the God that created our spirit. Yeah. It's the God who put our flesh on our body and fooled us into living.
What excuses? What excuses are we making, Tommy?
There's no excuses.
I mean,
Tommy.
really.
There's no excuses. Look it up in the Aramaic. Look it up. Read about it before you start throwing what King James, and think about it. Who put the King James Bible together? A king, a government. A government put that Bible together, So, I mean, of course.
Mama Ling says, thank you for knowing so much truth and sharing it. Thank you, Mama. Thanks.
But a lot of these scriptures, I mean, all dogma written by men anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tommy, the sarcasm is not becoming.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you are a representative of Jesus Christ,
they don't even
the sarcasm
know. They don't even know.
Would not be there. But you know, your way of heckling and laughing and accusing people, that is what Jesus said when he talked to the Pharisees and said, your God that you serve, Pharisee, is the devil.
When you're pointing your finger at someone, three are pointing right back at you. And he said, why do you marvel?
Yeah, Yahweh is Satan, LOL.
Yeah, it is. Do the research.
Do the research.
And you will find it. Do the research.
I'm not saying the God that created our spirit, but the God of this world is the prince of the power of the air.
Why would he have told Jesus that when he was those 40 days out in the desert,
that he could give him all the kingdoms of the world?
Yeah.
That if he would only bow his knee to him, then he would give them everything.
How can he offer something that didn't belong to him? Because the God of this world is Satan, and Yahweh is Satan.
Well, Tommy, nobody else is an accuser except for Satan.
Exactly.
So
and you're following the same footstep of your father.
You're acting
the devil.
The same way. The same way. Yeah. You know, so, but, you know, you believe what you want to believe.
Exactly.
And I'll keep searching for the truth.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We're truth seekers.
Thanks, Tommy.
Yeah.
That's all good.
It's all good. But that's, the ignorance.
It is.
It's like, the trans community has a lot of ignorance, and layman individuals have a lot of ignorance. And that's why things are going to be happening in this world to kind of wake people, a little rude awakening. Because everybody from people like Tommy, who are so self-righteous.
Explain that in the lake of fire.
Oh, yes. The one that you're going to be swimming in, because you're just as much of a sinner as you're claiming us to be, because you're doing exactly what the Christ told people not to do. Think about it there. You're being a Pharisee, and
Jesus looked at the prostitute that was thrown out there, and he looked up at the men who were accusing her, and he said, he who has no sin cast the first stone. And they looked at each other, and they realized that none of them were guiltless, but they all had sin.
Yeah.
And it's sad that you act the same exact way as they do. Yeah. But maybe when Jesus said, there are those that are going to come to me on that day, and they're going to say, Lord, Lord, when did we cast out demons, we
in your name,
healed the sick in your name, we did mighty works for you. And he's going to look to them and say,
I never did.
Depart from me, I never knew you, you worker of iniquity.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really sad, because you think that you know, but you don't.
So
God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. No, God made Adam. And Adam was both male and female,
as in Genesis 1.
Genesis 1 speaks to the fact that the Elohim, which is a triune God, or more than one God, the gods and goddesses, created Adam. Adam was both male and female.
Then came the devil, Yahweh,
and separated
the two.
And put them in these bodies of flesh.
Yeah. Do a little homework, Tommy. Your little biblical dogmatic beliefs are very ancient.
See, Tommy, search for the truth and search for your balls. See, that just tells me what kind of person you are.
I don't have any balls. I still have a vagina. And
I have them.
The balls are nicely placed right there. Nothing wrong with our balls.
So it's really sad.
And again, having to... I'll show that so people could see the kind of person that Tommy is.
A true Christian, a true follower of Christ.
This person isn't a Christian. This person is just a messed up individual who is a troll. But anyway, we've rambled on long enough. Thank you
Yeah,
guys
it's
for
been a
tuning
while.
in. I hope that you were able to learn something and show some of the faces of the, what are they called?
Pharisees?
Pharisees like Tommy, who haven't a clue. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Interesting. And thank you all for tuning in. And we'll have a show this Tuesday. We'll talk with the Cummings. The show is going to be titled Biology Does Matter. Funny enough, it's,
Yeah.
But we always welcome your questions and your comments, and even those comments that are a bit moronic, but, just people like Tommy.
Everybody's at a different place in life.
And, it doesn't matter who you are. We still love you, because that is the one commandment, the Christ, the real Christ, not the plastic Jesus that they've taught us to believe in. The message was to love, and not to judge, but to love. So, all right. And so, no, my real name's Maritza, and I have no problem with that, and there's nothing you can do or say, Tommy, that could hurt me, because I know my reality. And because I know my reality, no one can hurt me. I can't get hurt. Because, you could only get hurt if you don't know your reality, and then other people try to push buttons for that. But if no one can push a button, then they can't hurt you. And that's the freedom of it. The freedom when you finally let go of these wants and these desires, and then you just live freely and live in peace. There is absolutely no one that can throw you off kilter. So thank you, Tommy. Thank you for being you, because you are in your journey and we are in our journey. And we do appreciate people like you, because people like you are hurting, just like every single human being on this planet is hurting,
I don't really have a problem, sometimes I wear a wig, sometimes I don't, it's just a matter of preference, really.
Mhm.
And, I'm really happy with my hair anyway. And, just some days you feel like wearing it. Some days you don't feel like wearing it. And it is what it is, but that just makes everybody an individual. You're just a different person, And it has nothing to do with anything. Bible study from two weirdos. Well, that's
nice.
That's nice.
We love
Thanks,
you
Tommy.
too, Tommy. May God give you all the blessings that you deserve.
Thank you, Molly. I like it too. I got it, obviously I'm not blonde, but I got it back then, and it was in the summer, and I don't know, it's one of my more favorite.
How would you know that there's no fags in heaven, Tommy? You haven't been there, so,
Oh, Tommy's, no fags in heaven.
Yeah.
There's no haters in heaven.
Heavens either. So I
So
guess you don't
need
know.
to work on that.
Yeah, big time, Tommy.
Because
this ain't what really, surprises me is a lot of these people that are so fag. Notice that everything's about fags. There's no fags here.
I know,
but you know what it is?
It's funny.
Your homophobia is an indication that you're fighting something so deep. You know what, Tommy? Feel it, own it. You want to go out there and kiss a dude? Go for it, dude. I mean, come on. What's stopping you? Why all that hatred? Allow yourself to be free, because that's the most beautiful thing that you could ever allow yourself to do, is to be free. And right now, you're just fighting something so bad that the hatred is spewing out of your mouth, and you're using God as your weapon. And God is not by your side, because God, the real God, is not a weapon. Real God is all about love. Learn to love yourself, Tommy. And love yourself as you are. So if you need to love men, then go for it. You have my blessings.
It's funny though, because you would call us fags, but
I know.
you're a female.
Yeah.
I'm male.
Yeah.
And
how can we be fags?
I mean, your ideas have holes in them.
I know, but that's how they are. Like you said, you got to feel sorry for the guy. That homophobia, there's something stirring up in there. There's something, because majority of people that are that phobic are hiding something.
Yeah.
They're fighting something deep within. Or else why would they care? What would they even be watching a show like ours, you know? Yeah.
He that is spiritual judges all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. All right.
And
So you're spiritually superior to judge Mark and I.
that's another thing. Ego. So you're spiritually sound to judge us. I bet you, Tommy, that if I went digging, I would find that in one day alone, you've probably sinned 7 times. Watching all those pornographic films that you're watching, gay porn like that, and jerking off, that's a sin, Tommy. That's a sin. But, you go ahead and you live your life the way you want to, Tommy. Choosing Satan anyway, too much. EPA, what's... is that the stuff that's in bottles, plastic, or whatever?
I don't know.
We don't choose Satan, Tommy. You do, though. You obviously do because you're following the wrong God in the Bible.
Well, if Jesus is anything like you, Tommy, I would warn people to run away.
Yeah.
But I know in my heart that he's not like
Not
that,
at all.
and I feel sorry for people like you, because people like you are what, damage this earth, hate. People that carry hate, like you, really do a lot of destruction.
Tommy, you could try to hide your ignorant bigotry by saying that you're not judging, that you're just warning from the judge. The words you have used,
You call
your
us
language,
assholes,
and faggots, and all sorts of stuff. Tommy,
you call us weirdos.
you can't hide. You can't hide.
Tommy,
Can't hide.
you're not the real deal. They will know that they are Christians by their love.
Yeah.
And you are not being loving in any way, shape, or form.
Like I said, he's
For the
fighting.
fruit
He's
of
fighting
the
his own
Spirit
demon.
is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control, Tommy.
Yeah.
That's
What's
nothing that
saying?
you've been
You'll know their
showing.
fruit by the fruit they bear or something.
Yeah, you will know if they're genuine by the fruit that they bear. And your fruit, Tommy,
It's kind of
is
sour.
really raunchy.
Well, guys, we're gonna go. Anyway, we love you, but remember to always love yourselves too. Bye-bye. Homophobia.